that pretty shot of Capitol Hill. Welcome back to Morning Joe, and joining us now from Capitol Hill, Democratic Senator from Virginia, Senator Mark Warner, who is participating in this year's Veterans Day initiative, Mission Serve. It's very good to have you on the show.
Great to see you, Senator. We're going to get to that in 1 minute. But
thanks, Joe and Mika.
You're finished biting your tongue.
Yeah.
Tell us what went wrong in the elections of 2010.
Well, listen, I think I'll leave the prognostication and the analysis to you guys. But the political landscape may have changed, but the problems our country's face has not changed. And I think what one message that came out of the election was folks want us to actually work together to find some common ground. I got a little bit of experience doing that. When I was a Democratic governor with a 2-to-1 Republican legislature, we reformed our tax code. We got named the best managed state in the country, got named the best state in the country for business. So I actually think Democrats and Republicans can work together. And one thing that's come out of the election is both parties now have to own the problems and own the solutions.
So what does the president do to reach out to Republicans? What's a good starting point for him?
Well, I think he's already reached out and indicated before he took off on this foreign trip that he was willing to kind of reach some common ground with Republicans on some of these issues around tax cuts. I'm going to have a proposal out in the next few days that would say, let's go ahead and let the top end expire, but use that revenue for business tax cuts to try to get part of the $2 trillion that's sitting in cash on American balance sheets back invested in the American economy, because governments basically used our tools in terms of monetary policy and government stimulus. We got to get that $2 trillion in cash reinvested, and with some targeted business tax cuts, we might be able to do that. So I think there's a lot of ideas that out there, and we just got to be willing to both sides listen.
So, Senator, I'm reading that you're done biting your tongue when it comes to dealing with the other side. What were you biting your tongue about?
No, I was just saying, the first year as somebody who'd been a CEO in business and a CEO as governor, it was a little bit of an experience getting used to being a legislator. And there were times when I wish maybe I would have spoken up more. I think I intend to speak up more as we got a host of issues going forward.
Like on what issues, Senator?
Well, I think there were a whole series of times over the last couple of years where we could have actually done more to try to find common partners. I think, I've been on this show with Bob Corker when we tried to do financial reform, and, we forged a great partnership. It was disappointing that kind of went off the tracks late in the game, but I think there's chances. There's going to be a whole slew of chances to kind of build back those relationships. Saxby Chambliss, a senator from Georgia, and I are going through a process now where we're trying to get with colleagues, basically without a lot of media lights on, and just kind of get educated about the scope and problems around our deficit. I think that taking on our national deficit, trying to get our national balance sheet in order, is not only a critical fiscal issue, but if we leave our kids and grandkids the balance sheet we currently got, that's a security issue as well.
Senator Warner, it's Willie Geist here. You said that the midterm election results to you were a cry from the American people that said they want you all to work together. But what about Washington? What about the last few years or even decades suggest to those American people who voted that way that there's any reason you will start to work together? Why now? Why all of a sudden?
Well, listen, I think that's going to be our challenge. I got to tell you, the transition for me from being a business guy or being a governor to being here has been, it's been kind of rocky. There's a lot of times I scratch my head, whether it's some of the rules and protocols of the Senate or the kind of unwillingness to kind of have folks find some common ground. And I think you're going to see, and I think, frankly, those of us who more politically are more in the middle, we got to be willing to step up more. I hope I can do that. I hope others on both sides of the aisle will join me.
Hey, Senator, tomorrow is Veterans Day, and you represent the state that is steeped in service. But we live in a country where very few have been touched by two wars, one in Iraq, one in Afghanistan. What can we do in this country? What can be done in the institutions of the Senate and the House to make sure that more veterans are serviced on things like PTSD and honored more so than they are now?
But Joe, this is not just an issue for me that comes around Veterans Day. I mean, we've got the highest concentration of veterans of any state in the country. I was at the Veterans Office in Roanoke yesterday looking at veterans and processing claims. I authored an amendment to try to make sure we focus more on PTSD for female veterans. And where I'm going to be tomorrow is in Norfolk, our nation's greatest Navy town, with an organization called Mission Serve, which its whole purpose is to try to get communities involved and volunteers involved in helping serve active duty veterans, retired veterans, and those veterans who are deployed. We're going to be doing an event, and there's over 20 of these events going on all across the country tomorrow, where volunteers coming together, and where what we'll be doing in Norfolk is actually providing some care packages for our veterans who have been deployed. This is an organization that I would welcome others to get involved in. It's easy to check out on the web, missionserve.org, and it is part of something that in the overall Serve America Act, where we expanded AmeriCorps, where we've actually put in place something called Veterans Corps, where people can get involved in serving veterans across the country. It's a really great initiative.
Senator Mark Warner,